This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Oil prices slipped in Asian trade on Wednesday, weighed down by concerns of increasing OPEC plus output and tariff tension that threatens the global economic outlook, though worries about Canadian supply provided a floor. Brent crude futures dipped 17 cents, or 0.3%, to $65.46 a barrel by 0644 GMT, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude was down 19 cents, or 0.3%, at $63.22 a barrel. Both benchmarks climbed about 2% on Tuesday to a two-week high, driven by worries over supply disruption from Canadian wildfires and expectations that Iran would reject a U.S. nuclear deal proposal key to easing sanctions on the major oil producer.
Venezuela's oil exports remained almost unchanged last month as increased shipments to customers in China offset a decline in U.S. authorized sales, according to vessel tracking data and internal documents from state company PDVSA. The U.S. Treasury and State Departments in March revoked the authorization they had granted in recent years for PDVSA's customers and partners to export oil from sanctioned Venezuela. They gave the firms until May 27 to wind down transactions. The license expirations and PDVSA cancelling some cargoes to one of its main partners, Chevron, due to payment uncertainties, reduced deliveries to the state company's traditional customers in the US and Europe. However, intermediaries received more cargoes bound for China.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Growth in the UAE's non-oil private sector slowed to its weakest pace in nearly 4 years in May, a survey showed on Wednesday, as demand remained strong but eased from recent highs. The seasonally adjusted S&P Global UAE Purchasing Managers Index, PMI, fell to 53.3 in May from 54.0 in April, marking its lowest reading since September 2021, but remained above the 50.0 threshold that indicates growth. The rate of expansion in output was the slowest in 44 months in May, reflecting softening momentum in the non-oil sector even though demand conditions remained supportive.
Vietnam's Cai Mep liquefied natural gas, LNG, terminal has received its commissioning cargo from Russia, and marks the Southeast Asian country's first time receiving supply of the fuel from the LNG producer, according to an industry source and ship tracking data. According to data from LSEG and Kepler, the cargo was loaded from Russia's Sakhalin 2 project on April 10 onto the Blue Dragon 1 LNG tanker. On track to be Vietnam's second operational LNG terminal, Cai Mep LNG is located in the southern Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu province, and has the capacity to import 3 million metric tons of LNG a year. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. Alarm over China's stranglehold on critical minerals grew on Tuesday as global automakers joined their U.S. counterparts to complain that restrictions by China on exports of rare earth alloys, mixtures and magnets could cause production delays and outages without a quick solution. German automakers became the latest to warn that China's export restrictions threatened to shut down production and rattle their local economies, following a similar complaint from an Indian EV maker last week. China's decision in April to suspend exports of a wide range of rare earths and related magnets has upended the supply chains central to automakers, aerospace manufacturers, semiconductor companies and military contractors around the world.
The U.S. tariff rate on most imported steel and aluminum doubled on Wednesday as President Donald Trump ratchets up a global trade war on the same day he expects trading partners to deliver the best offer in bids to avoid punishing import tax rates on other goods from taking effect in early July. Late on Tuesday, Trump signed an executive proclamation that puts into effect from Wednesday his surprise announcement last week that he was taking the tariffs on steel and aluminum imports that had been in place since March to 50% from 25%. We started at 25 and then after studying the data more, realized that it was a big help, but more help is needed. And so that is why the 50 is starting tomorrow, White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett said.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
Ukraine's agricultural exports rise to 4.04 million metric tons in May from 3.73 million tons in April thanks to larger shipments of corn and wheat, the country's farm ministry data showed on Wednesday. Ukraine exported most of the commodities via its Black Sea ports, and the export included 2 million tons of corn, 849,700 tons of wheat, 461,194 tons of sunnoil, 344,950 tons of oilseed meals, 270,368 tons of soybeans, and some other commodities.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.